how many listings do you reckon this strategy has been worth to you, even if you were to ballpark it?
Yeah, to our company and to the other companies, across the country that we've helped implement it, it's been thousands.
Hey everyone, now today I have a very special guest for you. Today we're joined by Jimmy Burgess, who last year with his team did 2.1 billion in sales. He's got 275 agents under him, and the most impressive thing is his agents on average did 8.5 million in volume last year. So Jimmy is not only an insane team leader, he knows how to get his agents to produce to make great income. Now, Jimmy's going to come on and share with us some secrets to his success and his agent success, which I'm excited to share with you all. So, Jimmy, thanks for coming on, being willing to share with the audience how you just get such incredible results, and you're such an awesome guy.
Well, Andrew, I appreciate everything you're doing for the industry. I always say that we're all better together, and this podcast is a perfect example of that. These weren't available. You know what I mean? This is something that was not always available, and I think some newer agents take for granted the fact. Listen, as we were talking about before we got on, if people will take what we're about to talk about, we're not speaking out of theory here. We're going to talk about what we know that we know because it's working right now for our agents, and I know that it can help any agent that's listening to move their business to another level.
Absolutely. Well, this is totally true. I mean, we've had you on the Elite Agency Secrets podcast, which is obviously our show. And now you're coming onto the YouTube channel to share with everybody some of these like tactical step-by-steps on, how you are generating such crazy volumes of deals. Now, I want you to give people like a bit of an overview, give you a spiel on, tell people a little bit more about you. And I also want to unpack a bit more about your team, because you just have an enormous team, but like most importantly, they're all producing.
Yeah. So, my background is I kind of grew up in real estate. Both of my parents were brokers. After they divorced, they both opened real estate companies. And so it's kind of all I've ever known. I went to college, went to work for Merrill Lynch for 1 year, realized that coat and tie was not for me, and been in real estate now for 28 years, built my own team, built my own company. And then I came on as a team leader with this group of guys here with Berkshire Hathaway Home Services here in Northwest Florida with Beach Properties of Florida as the chief growth officer about 4 years ago, when we had about 70 agents. We were doing around 400 million. And then over the next 4 years, we grew this company to have 2.1 billion in sales last year. With 250 agents, we're continuing to grow. We've got around 275 now, being very selective. But really, we were purchased by Home Services, so now I'm the CEO for our company here. And man, I'll tell you, the best thing about it, I got the best job in the world, Andrew. I'm gonna be real. I mean, literally, like after selling for 25 years, I get to wake up every morning and just figure out how can I help agents do more business. And so, consequently, these are things that we're going to talk about today. Are things that, man, I've got a passion for because somebody taught me things. Somebody spent the time with me when I was a newer agent or when I was hitting plateaus or my business was maybe going in the wrong direction and helped me get it right back in track with where I was wanting to go, which was growing my business on a consistent basis. So that's a little bit about me. Like I say, I'm excited because I just know that I know the things we're going to talk about today can help people.
And let's not wait any longer. So obviously, we want to talk about how people who are watching this are going to be able to generate more leads, generate more deals. Now, you have some of the most unique strategies. The one that I know we're going to discuss maybe second is actually your video CMA stuff, depending on which order you want to do it in, which literally when we first heard it on the show previously just blew our mind how much success you've had and how much success everyone has with this. And the amount of people that have stolen this from you and not giving any credit, and they're like, this is your strategy and it works very well, that people don't want to share it. But today we are sharing it. But before we dive in, I know you said you have worked on something right now that you've just released for your agents and your team that is absolutely crushing it. So let's learn a little bit more. I've got goosebumps. I'm so excited to share this with the audience.
Yeah.
What's the strategy? Take us through the full process on how they're getting more deals right now.
So literally, Andrew, this is something we had. I had a newer agent, 21 years old, that has been doing this specific strategy. He had a lot go. He double-sided a lot yesterday, a vacant lot. Now, here's the strategy: is when we see a slowdown in the number of transactions, which most markets are seeing right now, If you want to continue to grow, you have to find different ways to generate business. Everyone is chasing the shiny penny, so to speak, of luxury, or they're chasing these, the typical things we've done. What I want to do is I want to give you a little shift in your focus that's working for us right now. There is emotion involved in houses. There are situations where people cannot sell their house because that's where they live. So there's all these things where it's timing with those. A lot of times what we want to do is we want to find opportunities where there are situations where maybe the situation is ripe for an opportunity to take advantage of it for someone that may not have even thought about this. So here's what we're focusing in on right now. Out of town lot owners. So these are people that own lots in your marketplace, in your farm, in your area that do not do this. Now here's the reason why we're focusing on this. Zero emotion. Number 2, prices have gone up. Number 3, it gives them the ability really to max out, and we still have some strength on the selling side on this, and understanding these things. Part of the communication is you have to understand, we're seeing and we're hearing it already right now, that builders are beginning to retract back and say, listen, I'm going to hold off on starting to build that other house right now just to see what this market does over the next 6 months or so. Here's the problem is the builders continue to have income coming in with the houses they're finishing, and they've got all this sideline money. So what do they do in those times? They begin to look for positioning themselves for the next run, which is they begin to purchase lots. They begin to look for opportunities to purchase lots, whether they're continuing to build or that they're positioning because they've been building on all the lots they owned on their spec houses in the past few months. Now they're needing to rebuild that inventory. So here's what we're doing. We're calling these lot owners. This is a typical call, Andrew. It's like, hey, this is Jimmy Burgess with Berkshire Hathaway Home Services. We're just calling to just check and see. We saw that you have your lot over there just to see what your plans are for that lot because the market has really moved your value. Have you guys got an idea of what you might have in store for that lot over the next few years? Just be quiet. Listen to what they say. They say, well, we're planning to retire and build on that. Great. I don't blame you. That's a great lot. One of the questions we're always asking is there a price where you would consider selling this? If it doesn't come up, that's always our lead in. The other thing is if they say, well, we're just not really sure, say, well, have you seen the most recent sales? Because the value has gone up dramatically over the last 18 to 24 months. That gets us cued in on this. And then they say something along the lines of, well, if we had the right price, we might sell. Listing these lots, here's how we're double siding, okay? And then we'll get to the builder side of this, okay? First thing is, most lots, what we're finding is, if there's a lot right here, they've got a next door neighbor on both sides, and they've got someone in the rear typically that is butting up to that lot. We're calling those folks and saying, hey, just want to let you know I'm listing this lot. We want to make sure you have an opportunity to choose your neighbor, or if it's something you might be interested in. Just want to let you know this is getting ready to come on the market. Is it something you might have an interest in? Great conversation, which has been actually leading to some opportunities for listings on some of those adjoining properties. But we're seeing about almost half the time, one of those 3 owners has an interest or knows of someone that wants it and they want to help you double side that thing. So that's specifically what we're doing. The second leg of this is building a database of builders. We have really built a lot of our business based on our relationships with our builders. So what we've done is we're starting with builders and we're finding opportunities for them. What do they need? They need lots. So let's provide that for them. Here's what we're doing. So we got this listing in this neighborhood, so to speak. We're actually going up and driving around the neighborhood, finding the construction places, pulling the little box that has all of the construction information, seeing who the builder is and calling them and just simply asking this question. Hey, this is Jimmy Burgess. Just checking to see if you're building that house as a spec home or if it's a custom build for someone. If they say it's a spec home, say, great, wanted a little more information about that house. Should I reach out to an agent? Do you have an agent that you're already working with? Or is it something that you can give me the information on? This is telling us whether they've got an existing agent or not, okay? 2 things we're doing that way. If we understand that they have an agent and they are locked in with that agent, because you can identify that when you're talking to them. If we understand that, then they are going to go into what we call our Group B set of builder contacts. We're going to have their name and their agent's name because we're thinking about quick sales here. We get this lot listing. We want to sell these things quick. If they're not, and they don't have someone that they exclusively do, say, great, listen, I'm actually getting ready to list a lot in this neighborhood. Are you looking for additional lots for spec homes that you're building? Yes or no, or typically what they'll say is if the price is right. So at that point we say, hey, listen, great. If I find a lot, or would you like for me to send the details on this lot to an agent that you exclusively work with, or would you like for me to bring these details directly to you? If They say to build them directly to me, you've got an opportunity here to build a relationship. This is a builder now that once you've got that, you've got their attention, now you're giving them what they want. Now you can build that relationship. Specifically identifying those where they are, bringing them the value. Now it gives you the opportunity to actually build a relationship with a builder that's going to generate additional listings for you into the future. This is what we're going to do. Listen, not every builder. Some builders have people they work with. Some builders just want to know where the lot is. Then there's that small group, and you're going to identify them by making the phone calls, that is ready to actually buy lots and build a relationship with an agent that helps them grow. Once you know that who those are, start adding value to them, and we're seeing those things happen. Specifically right now, calling these out-of-town lot owners, identifying and speaking to the property owners that are joining or the builders that are in the area, and we're turning these things, Andrew, in days, literally. And we're building relationships with builders in a way that helps us identify potential new listings with spec houses they're building now, and opportunities to listen. If I bring this lot to you, I just want to know that I'll get an opportunity to possibly be the agent that helps you sell that place once you build a spec home on that lot. These are just some of the things we're doing, and it's working right now, Andrew.
I love this. Do you know what's crazy? Before I even heard this strategy, this actually has happened to me and our family. So we had a farm and well, technically still own the buildings, and we had a plot out the back where the orchard was, and there was 3 adjoining lots either corner of it, and we were the dead center. So the only access was through our buildings, which we weren't selling. And the builder came and basically pitched, and they wanted all of us so they could build a lot on it all. So they had to try and group 4 different landowners, because the land's value really was only when it was all together. And it took a couple of years to put the whole deal together, because different landowners wanted different things. But now they've got a huge acreage and they're just building on it. Just huge, you know what I mean? They're just going to go crazy on it, and it's big money for them. So it's like, if you're the one who's actually put that deal together, right, or you're the one who's going to be selling the homes that once they're built, like, you're in for some big money. I mean, we both obviously know on our team, Brad and Mark, and they do, over 1,200 homes a year. A lot of theirs is with developers and builders, because they basically get the deals, and they do the whole blocks. They do the whole development, and that's how, between 2 of them, they did 800 deals personally between 2 people, because they got the whole blocks and they sold them personally. And it's like,
The earlier you start in the process, Andrew, the earlier the more opportunity you have on the back end. So
yeah,
with builders, if you can help them find and identify lots where they can make money, and builders are, listen, they're like sharks. They got to keep moving. You know what I mean? They got to keep building. They got to keep buying and selling and buying and selling. So consequently, if you can help them and get in that process and get in the mix, and then begin to set yourself apart by, hey, if they're building a spec house, I'm going to use this example. And they say, hey, yeah, this is a spec house. We don't really have an agent. Just call me. I'll get you the details. Now, what I did back in the day is I would literally say, okay, every week I'm going to send them the new comparables and an understanding that they know that I stopped by the house to see the progress. Hey, I saw that you got the roof on the house, that you got the house dried in. Hey, listen, just to give you an idea, there was a house 3 or 5 doors down that actually sold this past week. Not sure if you saw this. Or there was a new construction house that closed this past week that really could affect your values. Now I'm adding value every week, and I'm saying, hey, one thing you may not have thought of is one strategy, with this being a house that's probably going to be bought by a first-time home buyer, is to take advantage of some of the new SHIP funds, or the housing initiative programs out there. This is the contact for the person who does that. I've got a great relationship with them. If you'd like an introduction, I'll be glad to do so. You see, when you begin to think of it from a way of, how am I going to add value to this builder, and you begin to actually execute on that, they're like, wait a minute, I got somebody here that can not only give me good information. If they're hustling like this and they don't even have my business, what are they going to do once they have my business? And now you have the ability to grow with that. We've got folks in our office that started 15 years ago, and they started with doing this very strategy. They pick up a builder that was building 3 to 5 houses a year, and now we've got one that we're handling the entirety of a 140 home subdivision, and that we're actually the exclusive on that, and we're double siding about half of those. And these average sales price on these houses are $1.5 million. I mean, you start
yeah,
running those numbers of what that one phone call. See, that's the thing is, we get to this point where we think, oh, well, this one phone call, I'm going to sell a $150,000 lot, a $100,000 lot, a $50,000 lot. This one phone call, oh, I'm just not going to make that much money doing this. No, you got to be playing chess. You got
yeah.
to understand that the move you're making right now has plays that will take effect 6, 7 levels down, where it can really affect your business to the positive into the future, not just right now.
100%. I mean, one thing you touched on about builders and all the experience that we have in our team too, it's like, when you've got those relationships, that core relationship with that developer or builder, they stay because it's hard to find. So they're like, hey, I've got a good thing here. This agent's great. Why would I go and try and find another one for a weird deal? Like, these guys are business people. They're not emotionally driven. They are like, this makes sense. It's easy, no headache. They do the job. They work hard. They make the money. They get the deals done. It's like we just stick with them. And then there's some of these relationships, yeah, like you said, just go on for 10 years plus because they're still building. And it's interesting. You said you found someone who was small and is now massive, because ultimately a lot of these builders and developers, that's their goal. It's like, hey, I start with a few homes and then I want to get a few more and a few more and a few more and a few more. And then all of a sudden they've got a portfolio of hundreds and hundreds of homes. And because you were there, you caught them on the way up. It's like, hey, Jimmy's a great guy. I'm sticking with him. Like, I'm not doing any business with anyone else. That's it.
Andrew, if you're looking for a group that is hungry to buy, that you can build relationships with, I would encourage you, go to your local building department and pull everybody that's pulled a building permit in the last month, and make phone calls to those folks and say, hey, I saw where you pulled a permit for a house over on Elm Street. Listen, I'm very active in that area. I'm just curious. I just like to stay in touch, with what's going on. Just curious if you're building a spec home here or if it's something you're building custom for someone.
Yeah.
All of a sudden that builder's like, wait a minute, this person's so interested. They're pulling the actual permits before we even break ground. They really know what's going on this neighborhood. And now you've got this leeway where you begin to see, okay, well, that person's pulled 3 permits. They're growing. That person's pulled 5 permits. Whatever it is, really understanding where the information is, utilizing that information in a way to add value to the people that need it the most right now. And I promise that your business can't help but grow.
It's just going to grow. You're going to have more business than you can control. Now, this was insane. I want to move on to your second one, which was the very first one I heard, which for me is incredible. And I just want to dive right in. I want, again, full explanation on how it works, because I love this strategy so much, which is your video CMA strategy. Now, before we dive into the nitty gritty, just give people context. How many listings do you reckon this strategy has been worth to you? Even if you were to ballpark it.
Yeah, to our company and to the other companies, across the country that we've helped implement it, it's been 1,000 probably listings, because it's been something that we've been doing around 4 years now, and we see consistently that this is something that sets people apart, and it has shelf life in a way that I've not found anything else. So, I know that if people will do this, again, it worked for me. It's been working for our agents. It's been working for agents in every single market that we've ever tried this in. So it's something that I know is going to be of value.
Let's get into it. Video CMA.
Yeah. So here's what it looks like, Andrew. I'll give you the background. My last quarter of personal production before moving into this role that I'm in now was the last quarter of 2018. What I decided is I didn't ask my team to do this. I wanted to do it to prove that I felt like, and track the numbers, because listen, top producers track their numbers. They understand the value. I decided I was going to do one unsolicited video CMA every single day that I worked. Now, listen, when I say video unsolicited, I would just record my screen. I used BombBomb. You can use Zoom. You can use Loom, anything that you want to do. But basically what I did is each day I found one homeowner that I wanted to add value to. I did it for 72 days. We had Christmas, we had, Thanksgiving, some weekends. I didn't work every single day, but those 72 days that I did work, I did one per day. Between then and May, when I started, I listed over $11 million directly from those 72 CMAs. And I also ended up, because we didn't sell everything that we listed back then, I ended up selling over $9.1 million directly from that one strategy. And I'll tell you exactly how I did it coming up now. Basically, if you want me to, I'll roll right into that.
Roll into it. Let's do it.
But listen, everybody says, well, where did you find 72 people that were homeowners? Let me tell you this. I thought about everybody that I had sold to in the past that was a buyer that owned a home. I thought about people that had mentioned they might sell in the next few years. Anybody that I met at an open house that was in a farm area that was a homeowner. Neighbors, family, friends. You can start anywhere, but make your list of people and then start at the top with the lowest hanging fruit. Who told you they might sell in the next year? That's one you want to start with. Who said that, hey, listen, we're probably going to sell in the next few years? That's the one that goes next. Somebody that is a neighbor that you know. Even if you don't have many past clients, we had an agent that actually said, I don't have anybody that I know. I just moved into this area. I said, do you know any of your neighbors? Said, yes. I met this person 3 doors down. I said, go down and just tell them, hey, I want to send you something just to see get your feedback on it that I'm trying in my business. Ended up, that was his first listen. The guy called back and said, hey, listen, this is amazing. Matter of fact, it's kind of ironic. I'm thinking about selling. Could you come over and give us an idea of what we're looking at if we were to list with you? They got their first listing. So listen, don't make excuses. Just find homeowners. We all know them. and put them on this list. Here's what it looks like. I had three basic things pulled up. First thing I had was I had Google Earth pulled up, because basically I would have the address pulled up. And so when I was starting the screen where I was capturing this and I was going to do this 2 to 4 minute video on their valuation, I would actually start by pressing the address that they had, and it does this cool thing where it comes in from outer space and lands right on top of their house and just rotates around. Really a great way to capture people. I had somebody tell me, one of my clients called me and said, "Hey Jimmy, what are you, the high tech redneck?" I was like, "I don't know if I appreciate that or not," but it was fine. They were thinking of me, right? So starts with that, captures their attention. Basically, all we said is, hey, it's been a little while since I've checked in with you. The market has changed dramatically, and your value is way up. So what I want to do is in the next couple of minutes, I'm going to give you an updated idea of some of the things that have sold recently, range of where your house's value is, so that hopefully it helps you into the future. Listen, if you're curious about this or you want to see this at a later date too, all you got to do is come back and just search in your email your address, valuation update, and you can pull this up at any time. There was a couple reasons for that. I'll get to that in just a second, okay? But I wanted to make sure they knew where they could find it at a later date. Then I just basically went in, and a next tab I had pulled up is I had the active pending solds. We've had people that will utilize their CMA that they use, whatever program they're using, whether it's Moxie or whether it's whatever it is they're using. But for me, I just kept it simple. I just had the active pending solds that were like their house. And I said, hey, you'll notice here we've got 6 houses like yours on the market. We've had 3 that have sold or in the last 2 months, and we've had 2 that are currently under contract. Here's the range of what those sales were. So here's an idea. I always gave them a range of value, okay? And then I basically went through and I just simply said, so based on this, listen, I haven't been in your house with everything going on in a few years, but I want to give you a range of value. Listen, if you're curious about it, what your house would sell for, take me 5 minutes to walk through the house. I can tell you exactly what it sells for, but I want to just give you a range of where the value is now that'll hopefully help you. And I gave them roughly about a $50,000 range. Typically, I wanted enough range where there was a question mark, if they were curious, so that they would
Yeah.
call. And then I went straight to the estimated net sheet. That was the third tab I already had pulled up on my laptop. And basically, I just went in there and I just went through and said, hey, listen, most people want to know, well, what bottom line, what would this look like? So I've taken the middle of the range that I gave you. I've taken the typical closing costs for a seller. Now, listen, this doesn't take into account your paying off any mortgage or proration. So it's not exact, but it gives you a good idea. And I put in the commission. I put in our area, the doc stamps with the 2 typical costs for a seller, which whatever it is for your area, that's what you would put in there. And I said, so you would estimating what you would walk away with is this minus your mortgage or any of these prorations. Listen, I hope this has been helpful. Again, as I mentioned earlier, if you're curious about this or wanted to revisit this in the future, all you've got to do is go back into your email and search for your address or valuation update, and this will pop up and you can take a look at it. Now, here's the reason why I did that, is that a lot of people may not be ready right now, but they will come back to this because it's unique to see where their value was at that time. So with using BombBomb, it lets me know. It let me know how many times they watched it. So listen, typically if I could see whether they opened it, I ended up getting to a point where I had 100% open rate. Now here's why. When you zoom in on their thing, I was running at a clip, which seems crazy, of 75 to 80% open rate. The ones that didn't, and I could see that the next day, I would send them an email. Listen, a little bit of a white lie maybe, but just being honest. And I would say, hey, I noticed that I may have sent you something that you were unable to open yesterday, and I'm not sure if I sent the right link. I spent some time and really broke down an idea of where your value is of your home. I hope it's helpful, and here's a link that I know will get you to it. I would send that email, and typically they would open those back up there, okay? So that was what I did really to generate these things. Also, the reason why I liked BombBomb is it told me how many times they watched it. So if I can see that somebody watched this thing 7 times, guess who's going to get a call the next day? I'm calling that person just saying, hey, I just want to make sure you received. They don't know that I know they've watched it 7 times. Hey, I'm just giving you a call. I sent that email to you yesterday. Wanted to make sure that you got it, number one. And number two, see if you had any questions. And then that generated the conversations. Well, actually, we're probably starting to get ready to think about this. We'd love to get an idea of value. Okay, great. Listen, when can I come by? I'll be glad to do that. Also, what happens with BombBomb is that it tells me when they open it at a later date. I have a little tab that pops up and tells me when things are opened, or in my BombBomb app, when things have been opened. We're looking at 2018, last quarter of 2018. 2020, we have the pandemic hit. I have not made an outbound call for real estate in 18 months because I shifted positions.
Yeah.
I had other people that were handling those things for me and that had basically taken my business and run with it because now I was not in that position where I was actively selling. I ended up starting to see during the pandemic, boom, these little pop-ups of people watching the videos from back in 2018, 18 months later, because they remembered the value I had added.
Yeah.
Ended up referring out over 5.4 million additional listings from that group that I did 18 months ago at a 30-minute a day strategy that it took me 30 minutes every single day to do. So now total, when I break this all down, it was a $3,600 per hour activity that I did for 30 minutes a day for 72 days. Andrew, I'm telling you, we're seeing this every single place that applies this. They are seeing results. This is one of those, we're
Yeah.
always looking for ways to uniquely add value to our clients. Nothing I know can set you apart better than giving them what they wanted, which is an understanding their value in a unique way that they don't forget and
Yeah.
that has shelf life. So that's the reason why we're so adamant about people taking the time to go out there and do these unsolicited video CMAs.
It's like everyone watching, listening, it's like this is just the most incredible strategy. We've spoken before about the other strategy with the CMA market report, like Big Folder, because again, it's got that shelf life. People don't get rid of it; they remember you because of it. And this is essentially that, but it's cheaper and in a weird way, it's got more scalable. I mean, the other one's only $2 a day, so it's not exactly expensive. But this is kind of like the modern version, which is why I was like, "Holy hell!" Like this, I've got to share this with the audience because stuff I share on all the social strategies, and it's like I want to bring other people on to share the stuff that they are doing, which is also the tweaks and the quirks that they've found that have worked. And I don't know any other channel out there that's just sharing the shit like this. It's insane, Jimmy. This is fucking incredible. And I know everyone watching has got a value from this.
But Andrew, think about this. I mean, as we've talked about, we're all better together. I mean, literally,
Yeah,
you came on my podcast, the Real Estate Sales Podcast, and you just talked about how to generate unlimited Facebook ads. You see, this is what's happening that has not been happening. And this is what I love about this industry. You hear about it, it's cutthroat, it's cutthroat. In reality, it's cutthroat for those, and there's a few people that are. But ultimately, the people that are doing the business the right way, that light is going to continue to shine. Their business is going to continue to grow. So
yeah,
as we're sharing with each other and we're sharing with others, I promise you there's somebody that's going to watch this and is going to send you a referral. That's going to call me and need a referral for somebody that they've got coming into Northwest Florida. And they know I'm going to help them find the perfect agent. These are the things where we don't realize by adding value back to people, every single time it comes back to us. And
yeah.
so the more value you add, this is why I want to encourage people to do this, the more value you add to other agents, I promise you, it's going to come back in droves.
Tenfold, absolutely. Now, I want to give you the opportunity, Jimmy, because obviously you got your own YouTube channel, you got your own podcast, you got your own team, all that good stuff. So, people want to learn a bit more about you, some more of your strategies, the team stuff, whatever the case may be. How could they reach out, learn more, whether it's phone, email, website, social media? Tell the people where you're at.
Yeah, hopefully, you should be able to Google and find me on YouTube. That's where a majority of those, I think we've got over 300 videos with practical strategies that agents can do to apply to their business. We try to put 2 to 3 videos out a week. We've also got the Real Estate Sales Podcast, which has 2 episodes. We're over 200 episodes there now, which is the same. It's very similar. It's just mostly a lot of more interviews and doing a little more tactical strategies from other agents. And then, of course, I write for Inman. I got a weekly column with Inman. And so anyway, should be able to find me. And all of those should have contact information for me. And Instagram, you can always find me there as well.
Listen, if you can't find Jimmy, you don't deserve to have his strategies. I was going to say, Jimmy, thank you for coming on and sharing with my audience your amazing strategies. Everyone, I hope you enjoyed this interview, and I will see you in the next one.